couple of years ago, I was doing an event, and essentially the event was you got to complete 2.5 miles roughly every hour on the hour, and you alternate hours between a trail, 2.5 miles, and then the other hour on a true form. Let's say you finish the 2.5 miles in 45 minutes. The 15 minutes before the top of the next hour is you can do whatever the hell you want. Essentially, you go until you can't complete the 2.5 miles. In the hour, you quit. And I had done this event already, and I wanted to do it again because I wasn't happy with my performance the first time. So a couple months later, decided to do it again. Did it with a friend of mine. Really, it was his idea initially. He invited me out to the first one. He had the idea that he wanted to do it again, and I said, fuck it, why not? What could be better? So Brian Chantosh, and I'm going to keep putting it out there in the universe to get him to do a podcast with me. But I'm just going to keep throwing it out there. So if you listen to this one, it's in the ether, man. I'd be honored. But anyway, he had wanted to go for, I don't know, a really long time, really find a point of failure. And I think he ended up the second time around going to 100 hours, something like that. It was a lot of hours. And going through it the second time, I think it was closing in on, I don't know how many hours. It was more than 30, less than 40, something like that. It was the middle of the night. I remember Cassandra was there, and she said something to me like, hey, I had finally gotten past the distance and the time domain I had done and quit the first time. And Cassandra said to me, I'm proud of you. And, was sort of giving me, and I was a little, you get to that sleepy time and a little rundown, you're feeling exactly how you should feel in an event like that, 30 hours in. And, she was just taking care of me, checking in on me, probably really happy with how I was doing. And I remember now hearing the story after the fact, Tosh had, said that, hey, basically, don't say that to him. And he said, you should go to bed to Cass instead of staying up with me. And it was cool hearing this story after the fact because I totally get it. Because I remember the moment she said, I'm proud of you, and what that felt like. Someone you really care about, love, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're uncomfortable. And then you have that, the person you're the most comfortable with comes in, I'm proud of you, acknowledgement from them. When you're tired and fatigued, it's easy to replace the acknowledgement you're seeking in yourself or haven't given yourself yet. Easy to replace that with some acknowledgement somebody else gives you. I'm proud of you from her at that time to me meant, oh, well, I did all right. I made it. I don't have to do any more. She's, like I said, you have that person you care about who gives you a lot of comfort. And you just want to stay there. You don't want to dive back into the discomfort, go out on another lap, middle of the night, cold, whatever. And, after the fact, it was, really interesting to reflect on this idea of, and it wasn't a punishment, don't say you're proud of him. It was, hey, James is at a mentally vulnerable point in order to keep pushing. And he can do more. And you can be proud of him when he does more, but he's not there yet. And I think this is a really cool lesson. And, I was working out today outside and had put off working out all day. I was just sort of feeling cruddy about the day, but it was beautiful outside this afternoon, probably high 50s. So I went outside and just we were sitting outside having a conversation. Really nice afternoon. And I just had this feeling, got up, and went and grabbed a dumbbell, went back outside, just started working out. 20-minute AMRAP, which I think is the best workout in the world if you're someone who's allergic to warming up. And if you're having a hard time making it a habit again, 20-minute AMRAP is great because you can slowly warm up as you go through it. You warm up for 5, and then you have a 15-minute workout. And it's plenty. Anyway, I was getting about 16, 17 minutes in. Cassandra said, "I'm proud of you." And I had recalled this conversation, this story. But I laughed internally. I said, "Don't be proud of me yet. I haven't finished the workout." And she was just proud that I decided to make the choice to work out because it's good for me and whatnot. And it reminded me of that moment doing the 2.5 mile event, and just the concept of what it felt like when she said, I'm proud of you, and how it changed my perspective for a little while. And I got over it. I pushed a little further. And afterwards, she was even more proud, I think. Just happy. But it made me think about this idea of, what we're trying to get at with this, and what Tosh was trying to get at. And that there's a difference between being proud of the effort and proud of the outcome. And I think especially if you're supporting someone, if you are someone who's pushing really hard to do something, who's set a stretch goal, a challenging goal, man, you gotta kind of keep your head down, both from the naysayers as well as the cheerleaders. And if you are going to listen to the cheerleaders and they're going to say things like, "Great job, proud of you," you need to take that into account of they're proud of the effort. There's still more work to be done. They're not proud of the outcome because you haven't gotten there yet. And if they are proud of the outcome where you are at right in that moment and you still got more to do, you accept that and you appreciate that because love and care is good. But don't let it distract you from what the outcome you went out to achieve is. You get to the rest area and things feel really nice, and you still got a lot longer to drive. You gotta get back in the car because that was your goal. And I think if you're someone who's doing something, pushing for something, striving for something, that's a way you got to think about this. It's in a lot of ways when you're trying to achieve something significant or great, it's a long race. As they say, it's typically a marathon, not a sprint. And if you're someone in a situation supporting somebody like that, it's not, you don't withhold love, you don't withhold support, but along the way, you want to do everything you can to help them keep moving to achieve that goal. One of the best things, and it's cool having done more of these events and had Cassandra support them, because her attitude toward these things has changed, and her support of these things has changed. And I remember one time we were doing a 30-hour event or something, and it's getting late, and I didn't want to eat. And I think it's because I was fell behind in my eating, and I did not want to eat. And instead of Cassandra being like, "Hey, I'm so proud of you. It's okay you don't want to eat," she put a bowl of food in front of me and had a heaping spoon of whatever the hell I was trying to chew down. I think it was some chili at the time. And she just said, "You need to eat this, and you're going to eat this because you got to keep going." And that's kind of all I needed from her. And hey, I want you to keep going, and you're going to keep going, and that's why you need to eat this in that moment. So I think it's interesting, if you're someone supporting that event, you can still give lots of love. But it is sort of this very patient, calm, consistent, persistent love of, hey, I see what's going on. Looks like things are going well. What can we do to keep you going? I want to help you keep going. I think in the moment when you see somebody striving hard for something, that's a great love to give them. It reminded me of that story the other day. This was a very small moment of the young ladies on the plane getting nervous during the turbulence, and the lady near the window just said, "Hey," to the lady in the middle, "Can I do anything for you?" Or she said something like, "Do you need anything?" or something like that. I thought it was really nice. Much different approach than saying "Hey, I'm proud of you for conquering your fear. It's okay." Because we're just not there yet. We're not there yet. So I was thinking a lot about that today. Proud of the effort versus proud of the outcome. If you receive that praise, you need to pause and say, is this proud for the effort, or are they proud for my outcome? Because if she was proud for my outcome, I wasn't there yet. It wasn't a thing I was looking to be proud of and have other people be proud of. Proud of the effort's okay, but it's easy to confuse the two when you're 24 plus hours, no sleep, tired, you're halfway through the race, whatever, halfway to the goal, halfway to the promotion. Don't confuse appreciation, acknowledgement of the effort for appreciation, acknowledgement of the outcome. Those can get tricky. I thought about that a lot today. It's just personally, that's something, and we've talked about this before, and I think I've read this before, is that when you share goals with other people, even if you haven't started on that goal, and they say things like, "Oh, that's great, amazing, that's awesome," they give you adulation, praise for that goal, which is great. Better to have a set of friends who give hugs rather than hate. But in receiving praise for that goal, even if you haven't started down the path of that goal, it can already start to make you feel like you've accomplished it. It can detract you from getting to work. So that's it right there. You can still have lots of love, lots of support, but do not confuse support, proud of the effort, for support, proud of the outcome, because we haven't gotten to that outcome yet. Thought about that a lot today, a whole lot today. And I think one of the reasons I had a bunch of other stuff I wanted to talk about, but I got, during the workout, Cassandra said, proud of you. And I thought of this. I had some other stuff I wanted to talk about. I don't know if I want to go into it right now or we'll wrap up on it. And, the other thing I was thinking about today, and I kind of played into this idea of doing this long endurance event and how I felt throughout it and where and how I needed support. I was talking to actually a couple friends. There are two friends I was talking to, working through some injuries. And one of them I was talking to, he was just saying, he's like how he felt a little old and how, he feels like the 30s to the 60s are the prime of your life, which I thought was a freaking great perspective. And, he's kind of in his mid 30s and he's struggling with some significant issues. And he was just saying, like, it's so annoying to be injured. And he's like, and I feel old. And he's like, I don't want to miss out on the prime with this. And what I was saying is like, this isn't an easy thing for me to say because I'm healthy right now. But that is, if you take 2 years, let's say you take a year, let's say you take 2 years to sort this out. Average life expectancy is, 70 plus years. He was telling me he wants to live to be 90. I said, like, if you want to live to be 90, man, you're not even halfway through the race. So if you take 2 years just to get yourself right, think of everything you get to do after that. And I think what's so interesting with us humans is we're so short-sighted and so caught up in the now, which sometimes is beneficial. And we think there's such little life left. And if I really think about what's going on for me, and before we get to that, because they think there's such little life left, you get so fixated on the 6 months it takes to rehab. You get so fixated on the 1 year it takes time off from work to focus on something else. Just actually a friend that I haven't talked to probably in over 10 years from high school just reached out on Instagram, and we were just chatting really quick. It was really awesome to talk to her, just chatting really quickly. And she was saying how just things changed in her career. She took time away from the work. She said, from work for the first time in a long time. And that stuff can feel so daunting, right? A year off from work. But if I think about like, maybe a year off from work to go to focus on something else that might be the most, exciting thing I do for the next 10 years, that's a tiny price to pay. But up front, it seems so enormous because right now, today, a year from today seems so far. But if I think about a year from today in the context of 10 years from today, I'll pay that price. Same thing with the recovery and the injury thing. And again, easy for me to say right now, sitting here pretty healthy, not all that banged up. Just my ego from just getting my ass kicked in that open workout by everybody and their mother. But that's a different story for a different time. But yeah, with the injury thing, or maybe just working on the project, building a new business, building a company, building a relationship, man, if I take this 6 months, 2 years, investing in this thing, putting time into it, growing myself, growing the whatever, for that long-term payoff, that's cool. That's an easy price to pay. But it is hard to see in the moment. It is really hard to see in the moment. And that's why it's easy to fall for those short-term gains. It's like, oh, I got this injury, so I just don't have to work out. I can go focus on this other thing, fill it, or I can take this quick way out, not really deal with it. Maybe I'll just deal with it in a couple of years. I'll deal with it when it gets real bad. Don't let it get real bad. You don't get an extra body. Sometimes easier said than done. A lot of times easier said than done. But my mind was there a ton today. Another one of the reasons I went and worked out. It's because, if all I got to do is pay 20 minutes. And here's the crazy thing. There are sometimes I'm so unmotivated to work out. I pay 20 minutes to work out, and every other hour of my day is better. Every other hour my day is better. The nutrition thing, same way. Spend 15 minutes just making a better food choice. And every other hour of my day is better. Yep. So that was where my head was at a lot today. Proud of the effort versus proud of the outcome. And yes, be present. Pay attention to the moment. But when you're looking to overcome something for a greater payoff, what is the price you're really paying? 2 years of recovery for 40 years of good life. Whew. Sounds nice. Anyway, to those guys out there, those guys dealing with that stuff, obviously I'm glad they're taking care of themselves. I'm not proud of them yet, but when they get past those injuries, I sure as shit will be, and I will let them know. There we go. More tomorrow.